So it's the big day. We've all been waiting for it, and the Sun making it perfectly clear. Yep, it's all going to happen. Rishi Sunak making it absolutely clear. We will take back control of our borders once and for all. The legislation will be announced in Parliament in a couple of hours' time. It says if you come to the country illegally, except for very exceptional circumstances, you will be deported and banned for life from coming back into the country. Now, I said 3 years ago, when I first started to wake everybody up as to what was going to happen in the English Channel, that unless there is a massive disincentive to come, people will go on coming. And for 3 years, we've effectively had a sign on the White Cliffs of Dover saying, please come on down. Everybody welcome, doesn't matter whether you're from Afghanistan or from Albania. So in a way, the government are now finally saying the right thing. Cracking down on the criminal gangs, as Labour advocate, is useless. Why? Because they can make millions of euros a week, particularly at the height of the summer. You can put them all in prison, more will come because the financial rewards are just that great. You've got to make it clear to people it's not worth paying 5,000 euros to a trafficker, because as soon as you arrive, you're going to be deported. Well, it all sounds tremendous, but already the government are admitting that they're pushing the limits of international law. What do they mean by that? Well, firstly, we're signed up to a whole series of United Nations declarations going right back to 1951. That's a long time ago. You know, it's 70 years ago. And I've got to tell you, that world was very, very different. We were then talking about a post-war world where terrible things had happened, awful atrocities had been committed. No one foresaw back then international criminal gangs trafficking lots of young men into the United Kingdom. So that's outdated, but the bigger problem is we are signed up by treaty to the European Convention on Human Rights with its associated court in Strasbourg. Now Sunak and Suella Braverman, the Home Secretary, today will tell us there's a Strasbourg break. It's only a week after we had the Stormont break and after David Cameron talked about an emergency break. There's a break for everything. That's sort of, just civil service language. Believe me, folks, it means nothing. What nobody has said thus far is this. Number one, the judges in Strasbourg won't like any of this. But number two, what about British judges? British judges are going to revert to an international treaty. They'll say we have an obligation under international law to obey what we signed up to. This isn't going to work. And let me tell you something, the government already know it isn't going to work. What they're saying is, we're on your side. But they've done it before, again and again and again. Priti Patel did it as Home Secretary. Boris Johnson even said, if you come here illegally, you won't be allowed to stay. David Cameron said, if you come here illegally, you won't be allowed to stay. So Sunak and Braverman are saying what the Tories have been saying for years. The difference is, and I'll grant them this, it's much tougher legislation, good, but it isn't going to work because of our commitment to ECHR. The only way we solve this is we complete Brexit. Brexit was about getting our sovereignty back. If a government in a piece of legislation already admit it might not work because of a foreign court, well, that means we're not a sovereign country, we're not a sovereign nation. The language is better, but we have to leave ECHR or we'll never, ever solve this problem.